How do you think taking away all the profits by entrepreneurs can be eliminated in a socialist system in a manner different from Russia?
May I know who you are?
My name is Question Bank and I am a filmmaker.
How do you know us?
I see you every day at this exact hour discussing politics, philosophy, and things like that. I gather you both are veterans of socialist thoughts.
Sort of. But how do you know us?
I live around here.
Fine. What do you want?
I am going to make a short film involving the discussions we are going to have.
What kind of short film?
Are you planning a sting operation in the guise of making a film?
Let me explain later. Don't worry. I do not harbor such things. May I have your introductions, please?
My name is No Change Required Archaic Encyclopedia. People call me N in short.
My name is One for All, Elixir, and I am known as Elixir.
It strikes me that you wait for some person at this hour every day.
We are waiting for Pan. His name is One Size Fits All Panakia.
I guess Pan is your friend.
Yes.
What are you doing? What are these things?
Microphone and a voice recorder. Let me give you some tea and cookies.
Oh, it looks like a mobile tea shop.
Which brand are these cookies?
Local made. I bought these in our neighborhood weekly market.
Do they maintain quality?
Absolutely. It is because of inflation I purchased these things. What is your view about food inflation?
It is terrible and it really hurts people a lot.
How do you think the current round of food inflation can be mitigated?
We have to remove the supply distortion from the market.
Will that solve the problem? What do you think is the cause of this inflation?
It is a complex phenomenon. However, right policies are needed to tackle the inflation.
Well, to me it appears that we have many issues with regard to the wages and the prices. In short, the macroeconomic and microeconomic situation is plagued with several omissions and commissions.
Yes.
I had been thinking about certain policy and if need be legislative measures which may help in addressing these recurring problems. One, we should see that farmers get remunerative prices, but that does not result in inflation. We can achieve this if we fix the prices of agricultural commodities for the next financial year, in this financial year itself. We may provide tax incentives to the employees and the other people who subscribe for the provision of the food grains during next financial year in this year itself. It would help stabilize the inflationary expectations and both the employers and the employees on one hand and all the other players in the market on the other hand would be in a position to gain collectively through these measures. Do you agree?
Appears good, but we had to do in-depth analysis.
There may be implementation issues like leakages and information obstructions.
The other idea which I have been thinking loudly of late is something to do with cooperative farming. You both should be familiar with this from your learning experience in Russian socialist experiment. Am I right?
It's very good and immediately required.
It was a tremendous success in Russia.
But who will own the land? Will the farmers agree to surrender their land to a commune as happened in Russia or otherwise to any such similar arrangement like a cooperative society?
It's a big question. I agree with you.
Secondly, the average agricultural farm size in India is about 2 hectares approximately. In addition, old agricultural practices, insufficient storage facilities, and low productivity have dampening effect on the farmers, who roughly constitute 60% of the population. Unless they have money to spend, the economic growth will not sustain for long.
Exactly. We have to modernize our agricultural practices.
Maybe we should develop a model in which the agricultural operations can be carried out in a collective manner, where the farmers would be entitled to a share in the proceeds in proportion to their land size. This way, the farmers are not required to surrender their land to a society. Do you agree?
Sounds good.
Oh, thanks.
You were saying you are about to make a short film?
Yes. Let me explain in a while about it.
Are you looking for ideas, story or something like that?
Now, I have the idea. I want to make short film, but do suffer from budget constraints. That is why I came here to make a short film.
What kind of short film it is?
You will know in a while. All I want is another 5 minutes of your time. Okay, now let us return to my first question. When you are looking at building a socialist society as in Russia or in China, how do you ensure that private capital is totally removed? I may add that Russian and Chinese experiments ended up in capitalism.
Yes. To remove private appropriation of surplus value, you should prohibit pricing of goods and services, as also payment of salaries. Contribute to the work and take whatever is required, free of cost. This helps to build up a socialist state.
Does that mean abolition of currency?
Maybe or maybe not.
You both suggest that if pricing of the goods and services and making payment of salaries towards the work done are abolished, that leads to transformation in social relations of production and thus prevents private appropriation of profits.
Quite right. It is quite scientific that accumulation of production should be at larger level of community rather than private capital.
You are saying every individual should take part in the production of goods and services. In that case, should I engage myself in cultivation to take my quota of food? Also, if I need clothes, should I work in a factory and produce my own clothes?
Please stop that crap. This is unscientific understanding of history and socialism.
You seem to be thinking that if we need oil, we all travel, let us say, by air to Middle East and rig out our own oil and bring it back to our refineries. Are you in a position to simple guess how much it would cost for this en masse travel to Middle East? This is not economics. You should understand that we learn from history that human society in the process of its evolution from the primitive society to capitalist society has adopted division of labor as a social structure. Now you can't say that everyone should do one's own farming and manufacturing, etc. It's not like that.
In that case, are we conscious of laws of nature? I mean, laws governing the non-living and living. Every living being depends on the other living and non-living for its energy requirements. We evolved from an era when people used it to hunt and gather food in both individual and collective effort. It is what I call the law of the nature. I do not see any appropriation of surplus value in such process. Then why should not we consider such a system for a socialist model? I agree that everyone should work for basic entitlements and it can be made mandatory in a socialist society. I am also of the view that if there is any creativity in the field of arts, such creative work should be remunerated over and above the basic entitlements, as otherwise it would amount to public appropriation of private production. But rewarding scientific discoveries and inventions is nothing creative, since they are all parts of the nature.
It is true that primitive society has no element of private accumulation, but human society has evolved and it cannot be taken back to the primitive system.
One common argument by socialist thinkers is that capitalism and socialism are interchangeable. What should we call it if a socialist system like Russia reverts to a capitalist system? Anyway, if things like legal systems, cultural advancement, etc., cannot be done away with, why should not you consider adopting relations of production that existed in primitive system where everyone works for basic entitlements and other needs? Is it not that there was too much clamor for industrialization in both Russia and China, which ultimately failed to sustain the socialist system?
It is quite possible that a society may go back from socialism to capitalism, which we have witnessed in recent past. But the scientific temperament and faculties that developed in the era of capitalism, starting from around Industrial Revolution in Europe till date, this development is unique to capitalism phase, and the productive forces like technology, human skills, instruments, etc. developed in the area have permanently cut off the link with earlier systems. It is for this reason that you cannot take the society to a primitive system. This change is irreversible.
Okay, it seems history has cut off some of the choices available to human society. But what Marx said is that development of the productive forces like technology would take the society from one phase to another. In such case, when does capitalist system give way to socialist system with respect to development of the productive forces? It is undeniable that industrialization is very strongly promoted in Russia and China in a cooperative method, believing that at certain level, socialist system would prevail. But it failed. What went wrong with the model of base superstructure?
Maybe we should have structures in place which do not allow the bureaucracy to grow to enormous size, since it has to be working class rule, but not a bureaucracy dictatorship. That is how socialist system failed in Russia and China.
Base superstructure model is just an example given by Karl Marx. We should not rely too much on that.
But what was practiced in Russia and China is an exact copy of base superstructure model, is it not?
It's true, it was a learning experience.
Then, when do we have one framework for how a socialist system should be designed, that is, as you claim, would be better than capitalist system?
As we said, Russian and Chinese experiments have made at some point in history. They offer many lessons to be learned.
Does it mean that we don't have a model yet? Thanks, I'm done with my short film.
What? You are not even told us the script?
This is it. I wish we had some more tea. I see only two of you every day. This chair must be for Pan. Who is he and where does he live?